Howdy folks, Kevin here. If you've ever lost a fish and reeled in your line only to see a little squiggly end where your knot failed, you know exactly how frustrating that is. But what if I told you that with the right 3 knots, you could almost eliminate knot failures? Stick around, because you're probably going to learn something today as I show you my 3 most reliable fishing knots I've settled on after decades of fishing. And trust me, if you don't know these knots, you're probably missing fish. Now, I've tied a lot of knots in my 50 plus years of fishing on the water, and I've had my fair share of failures. I used to tie the improved clinch knot because my dad taught me that when I was a kid, fishing for trout in Colorado and Wyoming. But guess what? That knot has failed me the most. I also used the polymer knot. It was great for swivels and leaders, but I didn't like how it bunched up and how the line didn't always run straight out of the hook. And don't even get me started on the FG knot. A great concept for braid to fluorocarbon, but after multiple fish, I kept losing leaders. One moment everything's fine, next thing you know, bam, the leader's gone, slips off the end. After all that trial and error, I locked into 3 knots that I now use exclusively, and they don't let me down. The first one is the uni knot, a simple, stronger alternative to the improved clinch knot, and I use it for hooks and swivels, and it doesn't fail. The loop knot is perfect for jigs and hard baits, giving them more natural action in the water. And the Albright knot, with my enhancements, is my go-to for tying fluorocarbon to braid. Unlike the FG knot, it holds up over time and it doesn't slip off. Let me show you exactly how to tie each one so you can have more confidence on every cast. So my red line here is representing my leader line. My little blue carabiner here is going to represent the hook. So we're going to do the uni knot first. Bring the tag end up through the line. Then you're going to make a loop in your line. And with this, I got to give myself enough leader there because it's a little bit thicker line than a normal fishing line. So you loop it over and you bring this through 3 times. 1, 2, 3, and that's it. Tighten it down, pull it tight. That is the uni knot. And then you snip that off with your snips, and that line comes straight off of the hook. It's that simple. And that knot does not fail me. The next knot is a loop knot. So my blue carabiner is representing the hook loop. This is my leader line. So the first thing you want to do is tie an overhand knot in your leader line. Okay, I'm going to bring the tag end up through the hook eye there. You're going to go back through the knot. And then on the back side of the knot, you're going to wrap 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And then you're going to come back through the knot with the tag end. And that is the loop knot. So now that hook is going to have movement there as you're jigging this up and down. This will have freedom to move around inside that loop. Now, what you want to do every couple fish or every fish, make sure you check that there's no nicks in this line here. If you get any nicks in this, you're going to want to snip this off and retie it. Because if you catch a big fish on the next one, you know, if you've got a compromised piece of leader here, you may lose that next fish. All right, for my Albright knot, I'm going to have this black line representing the fluorocarbon. This will have your jig on the end of it. And then the red line here is going to represent my braid.
Keep things simple. I use 20-pound braid on all my reels that I used for my guide trips and my personal trips. I use this Power Pro green that's equivalent to 6-pound monofilament line. I've provided a link in the description if you're interested in getting some. I keep with the same 20-pound test in my fluorocarbon leaders for most of my types of fishing. However, I do go down to 6 or 8-pound tests for crappie fishing for those leaders.
So you want to double over the fluorocarbon. You're going to bring the braid through, and I've got to get a lot of line here to make this demonstration work with the red rope because it's thicker than a regular piece of braid. So you bring that up through there, and you're going to wrap. What I usually do is pinch that with my hand, with my two fingers there, my thumb and my forefinger, and then you're going to wrap this 10 times. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, now I've wrapped that 10 times there. Now you want to go back on itself. So just reverse. So you're going to come back here and hold it on this end, and then come back and do 10 times this way. Okay. Now you've got it wrapped back on itself 10 times. Now, if you see a regular Albright knot, they'll show you come through this loop just once and then tighten it. I have had that slip. So I like to go back through 3 times now through that loop before I tighten it down. And that Albright knot, the couple modifications will not fail you. And then this is your braid, and this is your fluorocarbon. And if this is your eyelet, this comes through pretty easy. And this does not pick up a lot of, keep that tight there. This does not pick up a lot of grass if you're going through the water. You'll snip this off here, and you'll snip this off here with your snips. And that's the Albright knot. Hey, if you want to see more outdoor adventure and hints and tips videos, set the hook on that subscribe button down there. That's it, folks. These are the knots that keep my line strong and my fish on the hook. Try them out and let me know in the comments, or if you have a favorite knot I should consider. Before you go, check out my video on must-have wade fishing gear right here. And if you need a replacement knife sheath, I've got you covered in this video. Tight lines, and I'll catch you on the next one.